Well, good evening, all. I'm Epstein, and I am worn out. What a wild trading day today was, and it is Wednesday, the 31st of January, 2024. I got to tell you, you had something for everybody. You know, this morning I'm watching my screens and going, what the heck is going on? All of a sudden I'm watching the Japanese yen take off to the moon, the bonds and notes take off, the gold market take off, the stock market starts selling off in the market. I'm going, what is going on? Because this is in the morning. This is well before the Fed. And as it turns out, word came out that the New York, I think it's called Commercial Bank Corp, they are one of the banks that stepped in and they bought, remember the three banks that went under? They bought a bunch of their assets. And in doing so, the bank swelled itself in size. That was their goal, to expand. Well, upon that expansion, as it turns out, you know, the bigger you get, the regulators look at you. And you go through different tiers in the banking. So they had put money away for bad loans that they thought they had to buy, and that could happen. But what's really happened is they had to put a lot more regulatory capital up. And at the same time, a lot of the regular loans they have out there, because they have a lot of commercial loans, as I read today, I don't know too much about the bank, well, they're getting later and later in their pay cycle. And why not? You know, the commercial real estate hasn't made a comeback. And lo and behold, now we start hearing the story and the market starts going, are we doing this again? And that was the sort of panic that was setting in. And that's what you were looking at. Not full-fledged, but certainly got everybody's attention. And it got mine, because we haven't heard anything about these commercial loans that are due to start coming up now. I don't see property values for commercial space. Maybe New York it goes up, but where else in the United States is it going? I've heard it's somewhat stable, but stable doesn't put back the value that the original loans, if I'm the bank and I gave you X amount 4 years ago and now we got to renew all this, do I think that property that's running at maybe 50% occupancy in a lot of places is worth what it was back then? I have my doubts about it. I'm sure your property taxes went up. Now you don't have as many people and you don't have pricing power. Nobody talks about that. In commercial real estate, if you got a building that isn't fully occupied, how much pricing power do you have? You need a tenant. You don't have pricing power, you have bargaining power. In other words, how cheap can you take it to get the guy in there in many cases? Not saying it's everywhere, but it's just business. It's the way that it is. Be careful. That was one thing. Fed Chair Powell. We finally got the 1 o'clock part, and I feel vindicated. I have been like a lone guy out there, and it is lonely when you say every time, I don't see a March rate cut. And there's a lot of guys brighter than I am that are calling for it all the way through. Well, I'll consider the Fed chair the brightest guy, and he said no March rate cut. It is highly, highly improbable, according to him. That's good enough for me. And the market, of course, didn't believe him. If you were watching the Fed Watch page, just Google that, Fed Watch page, you can see what the traders were doing and how they were betting on it. Because what they are is they're naysayers. They'll say, you know, the Fed could say that, but you watch this Friday jobs report that we get, it's going to be down. We saw ADP was 30% less than the estimate for new jobs created. That's a big drop. When they see that, the Fed will have no choice. They'll have to move in March, even though they don't want to. That is what the naysayers will say. If the jobs report comes out really weak. If it doesn't, that argument's out the door. Forget the March hike. That isn't going to happen. Then you will deal with it in the spring and summer. That's where you'll get your first one, in my opinion. But it also was a day where I have been warning you that in the end, when a trend weakens, eventually what happens is you should lose money in the market. And you'll say why? Because if you've been bullish in stocks, and they have been going up all of November, December, and for all purposes, January, right? One day today didn't take away the month's gains. What does that give you? Well, if now we start peaking in the market, now you look at it and you say there's a problem, you have a problem. Why am I saying that? Because The AI, the heavy tech stocks, are not delivering up to what the market had perfectly priced in. Even Qualcomm comes out. I'm reading some of the reports today, and they're going, oh, yeah, they're moving some inventory. Well, the fact is they are moving inventory, but they're not getting new orders. And cell phones just haven't moved yet. There's improvement, but the stock aftermarket was still down. But everybody wants to put a bullish spin on everything. The simple fact is, for 3 months, we've priced in perfection. Perfection isn't in the earnings we're seeing, and some of the markets are paying for that. One last thing. I know that you watch this, a lot of you, you're regulars, and you'll come on, you like, you don't like, and I appreciate you watching. You can't believe it. But if you want to catch the morning subscriber video, and a lot of you can't do it on our website, you're in countries that are somewhere, you can do it here on YouTube. On the bottom, you see where it says subscribe. Give it a try. You can cancel it at any time. I think you'll find it interesting. BA, I've been looking for this. So why did BA buck the trend today and go up 5% as the market around it is going down? I have the answer. I'm Johnny in the back of the room. Call me. Would somebody call me? China. China steps up and says, we'll take some planes now. Now, originally they had 50 some odd planes that they were supposed to get. They want to accelerate a portion, and they canceled some orders. Canceling means they'll delay. We don't want that 50, we want X amount. So in the shadow industry, that's what this is called, a lot of these planes have been ready. I was reading that over 100 planes have been built and ready to go. Some have to be modified to change them from a MAX X108 to 109, whatever the heck it is. They're doing it. But this now is starting to act like a market that's getting its foot back under it. And you just pay attention to when these things happen. It is a stock that went from roughly 270 down into the 190 level. It lost 30% of its value. It still has its customers. You already saw Ryanair. Hey, got planes that people don't want? Let's talk price. We'd be interested if they're ready to go. And I'm going to repeat. I know the problems Boeing had. I know what new plane problems are. I'm old enough where I see new planes come out on a regular cycle basis, and inevitably, I want to use this word inevitably very carefully for you to understand. Go back and look at brand new plane types that come out. Inevitably, they go into service and you find things that are wrong. All the testing in the world doesn't make up for thousands of air hours. And then you find things you didn't expect, you go in and you fix it, and the plane becomes better and better and better. That's the cycle you're in. You don't have to agree. I know it's true. So I look at the market. Suddenly we have higher lows, higher highs. Uh-oh. What does this signal to me? The likely end of the decline. Is it a buy signal? No. It's a signal not to be short anymore. That's the first step as I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right. You're going to fight, and you are fighting. Where did the market stop on the rally? Look at the green line, the 100-day average, the 200 in gray, and the 18. Makes all the sense in the world that you fight there. Then you got to get over these and prove you can stay over them, and suddenly the worst is behind the market. When and if that occurs. 2 words, when and if. Did the market make it on the second batch down here? This was the panic. This was the sideways action. Now the market is saying, okay, I think we're in a value area. What do we do? Momentum-wise, all of a sudden you're popping to the upside. So I think we're there. Time will tell. In uranium, well, this was a correction back down to the 18-day average where it has to decide, is it bullish, bearish, or what? And that's where I still think we're at. We haven't proven anything one way or the other. In UGA, the gasoline fund, I just know gasoline looks cheaper and cheaper the way I'm looking at it everywhere. It is January 31st. You don't do a lot of driving right now, yet you've come up. And the reason is you don't have big stockpiles. Got to keep your eye on all that is going on here and the usage that is going on. In XLF, you got up and you're fighting. You're still fighting the battle at the upper Bollinger Band. Huge outside day down today. If you lose the embedded reading tomorrow, and the odds are that you're going to try to lose it in a big way tomorrow, then this could signal a top and maybe the market make a run wherever that 18-day average comes in. Be careful. Why was the market down today? I'm going to repeat, that bank story spooks the market. Financial services.